Okay, in the words of the legendary Vince Lombardi, early is on time and on time is late. So we are kicking off early tonight, of course. And we had a guy that actually took that to the next level on the last project I was on. It was early is on time late, and late is completely unacceptable. Right, this is the only pitch that you're going to hear out of me, and then we're going to get right into it. If you're in the construction industry or you run a team, you know they're good, but they need something different. You're at the top of where you can be at the moment, but you know there's a couple more levels to go. Ready to step up a bit further. You know, you don't know, you understand the Dunning-Kruger effect, you know what you don't know, and you want some help jumping up those levels. The Unboxed Workshop might be just the thing you're looking for. I'm going to talk you through it right now, what we cover. So you can, actually we're going to set a timer on this. Very important thing is we always do everything to a timer. So we're going to keep this to, say, 16 minutes. Message me the words Unboxed Private Workshop. I'll send you the details. You go across, have a look. Pricing, everything's on the page. When you're ready to book it in as a private workshop with your team, we'll get into it. All right. So let me tell you, this is based on the, what's it called? The STAR system, this little framework, which is one of the things that I'll actually teach you during the workshop as well, as a reason that we do it this way, because it makes it stick, it makes it make sense, and it gets people to buy in, and to buy in quick. Right. Let's talk first. When you first book in for the Unboxed workshops, not uncommon to look like this. You've got a bit of a shit show going on. There's 3 levels of shit show that you could have going on. The bottom level is a complete and utter, spelled properly, Bernie, shit show. We've all been in one of these or seen some version of it, all right? If you're at that, you probably need a little bit more help than our Unboxed workshop, but that's all right. We can fix that up. Step 2, level 2 is what we've got currently is a real shit show. Okay, and the top one, of course, is it might be a bit of a shit show, which is the people that I spoke to at the start of this video. So you turn up for the workshop, you might not even know what an EXO is. Doesn't matter if you don't. You might not understand what 2-second lean is, why that's important, how you would go about using that. Probably don't even know or have never heard of theory of constraint, and your team's really struggling with the elephant in the room, and everyone's concerned about this at the moment, and they should be. AI, what's the impact going to be? Because I tell you right now, sticking your head in the sand and avoiding it is going to cause a world of pain. Think of AI as your new team member, one that helps you ramp up, become an exponential organisation, which is one that's 10 times better, quicker and faster than its closest competitors. It's just a tool. It's no different to like when we went from stick welding to MIG welding. When we introduced new hydraulic cranes that we've got at the moment. And we're using other things before, winches and stuff like that. It's just the latest version of, Gary Vee likes to call it, the tractor. Okay? It's just a tool. It's not going away. It's here to stay, and you need to start learning about it. You need to start speaking to your people about it, addressing the elephant in the room. They're all concerned about what's going to happen to my job. You need to tell them. Get in front of it. All right. So it doesn't matter if you're there. We're going to move you from there to you're going to be able to do this by the end of this session. So first session that we do is what's called break your anchors. We're all anchored to different things. What we believe is possible, how quickly things can be done. We're anchored to whether we think AI is a good thing or not. So the first thing that we're going to break your anchor on is you think that incremental 1% improvements are too slow. This is typically something that the visionary type people really, really struggle with. They have an unquenchable thirst for speed. The Navy SEALs don't say slow is smooth, smooth is fast. They say that for a reason. The quickest way that you're going to move is to slow down and get this incremental happening for you and your team. Most visionaries haven't got the patience or the attention span, and this is where you've got to be really honest with yourself. They don't have the patience or attention span to let incremental kick in and really compound. I show you how it compounds. We're going to break your thinking of 1% is too slow, that's never going to matter, doesn't make any difference. Going to break the anchor to that. Second thing we're going to break the anchor to is you think exponential or 10x is too fast. We need to have 10x thinking and then start with incremental actions. We're going to break the anchor to that as well. Going to prove to you that what my good mate Frank Kern, well, not really a good mate of mine, but I've followed him for years and years and years online, what he says about math is not an exact science. There's a lot more truth to it than what he makes out tongue-in-cheek. The way that we do that is less equals more. We have to remove to move quicker. We don't have to do 10 times more to get 10 times the result. Lean thinking tells us that 10% of what we do actually drives our result. And 90% of everything that we do every day, regardless of how fucking legendary we tell ourselves that we are, is waste. When you come to that realization, you start to get that ingrained in your brain and in your team, and you realize that to move twice as quick, you don't have to do twice as much as what you're currently doing. What you need to do is reduce the waste by 10%. Double this figure here. You'll get twice the output. We're going to look at an activity in here called value-added versus non-value-added activity. That's the main way that we're going to break your anchors to what you've got around incremental and exponential. Show you how that works. All right. Then we start looking at, in this quadrant here, say you've got good, I've got a good team, right? So good is the nice word for average, basically. All right. Want to be an outlier up the top. So down this end of the scale, we've got complete and utter chaos or the shit show. One of these three levels. Bit of a shit show, real shit show, or complete and utter shit show. Down the other end, the opposite of shit show is fluff or flawless execution, as Christian Bukosis calls it in the Afterburner Advantage. We're going to learn something out of that book called Orca. I'm not going to go into it today. All right, so what we do when we're removing this waste is we take away all the hand holding that you're currently doing, replace it with autonomy. Let people think, do, and act for themselves. To kill your stagnation, we're going to introduce experimentation instead. Depending on what stats that you go by, the workforce up to 60-70% of it is disengaged or actively disengaged. We're going to flip that all on its head. We're going to create 95 to 98% engagement. Going to move them from confused by AI and what does this mean for me? How am I going to actually earn a living in the future if AI is going to take my job? I'm going to get them to embrace AI. Going to move away from not having clear measurables so that people know how they're being measured, what's expected of them. I'm going to create dashboards that clearly outline what everyone needs to achieve and how they get better. Session 2, we'll look at what is the biggest constraint that's holding you back, keeping you down in this corner down here in the good, chaotic corner, keeping you out of the outlier flow corner. It's not what you think, but we'll explain to you what it is. So what we're going to do down here is create a 90-day custom plan, which goes through a critical phase here in the first 4 weeks. What I call this is week 1, I call it the what harebrained scheme is this week. So week 1, people are thinking, what harebrained scheme is this? What fuck? He's been to a workshop, he's come back, another harebrained scheme. What's this all about, right? Then we kick into week 2, and I go, this is annoying, but they don't seem to be getting up, okay? I've seen this repeat over and over and over again. Every time that I've done this, it's gone through this phase, whether it's exactly within 4 weeks, sometimes it's a bit longer, sometimes it's a bit shorter. Depends how good the person is that's delivering it, and depends on what your team's like as well. How many times you've done some sort of things are going to change around here, and then they don't, and then you default back to regress to the mean or what you've done before. Depends how many times those cycles happened as to how long this actually takes. But on average, I can do it in about 4 weeks. Week 3, they go, hang on a sec. I've been doing this 2 weeks now. We're into the 3rd week. Might be something in this. On week 4, you generally start to see some buying. So they start to, as Ted Lasso would say, they start to believe. During this phase, we have a look at why something called Pacts, P-A-C-T-S, are absolutely critical. Even better than I used to speak a lot to building habits, Pacts are even far more powerful than that. We're going to look at 2, this is where we introduce as well, AI. 2 really simple AI tools that you can use that helps drive this, helps get you through this hump, helps you get you through this first 90 days. Also helps to show the progress that we're making. It's vitally important. I'm doing a lot of study on this at the moment around how I get people through this first critical 4 weeks and 90 days place. Because these are the ones that end up in here, the ones that get through that. Everyone else regresses to the mean, comes back to here. Average and chaotic. Last session, we look at, once we're through this phase here, how to amplify it and really start to ramp up and take off, okay? So we use a little process, and there's a process for creating process. Good mate of mine, I actually did a video of it, a podcast interview with him on how to create great processes. If you want a link to that, just shoot me the words great processes and I'll shoot the video. It's about a half an hour or 40-minute video where we spoke about how to create a great process. Great stands for, the acronym is get to the, what happens first is you need to get to the Gemba. Gemba's the work front where the work actually happens. So you get to the Gemba to create the process. Don't do it sitting in an office or offside or at home when you're having a beer on a Friday night, okay? As appealing as that sounds. Secondly, for a process to be great, it needs to be easily recognised by the people that are using it in the paddock. Whoever has to use the process. You need to be able to recognise it. It needs to be easy for them to do. It needs to be available at the point of use where they're going to actually do the work at the Gemba. And they need to be tested and trained what that process is and how it works. The process to amplify is, again, great. So someone has an idea, create a hypothesis around what we think might happen if we implement that idea. We do a small experiment, under a week, under $100. Keep the risk low. We want to do lots of tiny experiments, which we'll speak to during this training and why we do lots of tiny experiments. Once we've done that, then we either learn something from it, or we create a breakthrough. So that ticks all the boxes for a great process. Last thing we do before we wrap this private workshop up is number 1, we need to work out who is going to own, live and breathe this process. There must be someone within your business, there must be a single point of contact that owns the fact that we're going to get through these first 4 weeks, we're going to get through this 90 days, and we are going to make this work. We are going to move out of this corner here, up into this corner up here. Someone has to own it. There's 3 key skill sets that this person needs. They need to be able to plan and prioritize their day extremely well, and then set the standard for everyone else to plan and prioritize their day. They need to be able to do social media with extreme competence, or video, because you want to spread this across your organization, and video is the best way to do it. Using your social, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it is one way of doing it. Another platform that I'm going to show you during this is a platform called Skool, which is, funnily enough, also has these EXOs, the exponential organizations that are 10 times better than the competition. They have 11 key attributes. You can, if you've got 4 of them going for your business, you're a good chance of creating an exponential organization. Skool, from memory, you can do about 8 or 9 of them inside the Skool platform. Have a look at why doing that. So they must be able to do social media or be willing to learn to do social media with extreme competence. Live streaming is a great way to really make this ramp and take off. And they need to be able to build and maintain your culture. The person that you've got may not have all these skills just yet. They probably haven't done this process before, gone through this 4-week period, know how this 90-day period works. Know that when things aren't quite going right, it's a matter of turning up the next day and be a little bit better than the day before. That's where I come in. That's why I run this workshop, create the map, and then I have coaching on the back end of it to help this person and some other key leadership, your senior leadership team. Help them, help this person get through the process. This is a team sport. Although we have one person that's accountable, we've always got a captain. Any sporting side's got a captain who's accountable for all the players and how they play. But it's still a team sport. Everyone needs to do their bit. Everyone needs to contribute. This doesn't work any differently. Right, with that, here's schedule. 51 seconds to go. If that sounds like you want to know more about the Unbox private workshop, message me the words Unbox workshop, Unbox private workshop, and I'll send you to a short Google sheet which will give you exactly what happens, pricing, all the rest of it, how it works. Take it, use it, watch the replay, drop any questions, comments, message me with anything that you didn't understand or anything that you want further clarity on, and we'll speak soon. Now this video and the outro here I'm going to play in a minute. It says, if you live on the Sunshine Coast. I ran this workshop on the Sunshine Coast. Actually, I will run this workshop for groups. If you've got a group, you want me to come and present it to them, reach out as well. Just say speaking, present workshop to my group, something like that. Ran this on the Sunshine Coast. I can do this. There's 2 options. I like to do this in person whenever I do it. So if you're here on the Sunshine Coast, there's one price, which is, I think it's $3K for the day. And if I have to fly to do it somewhere else, it's then $5K because I've got traveling time either side, plus my traveling expenses. All that's on the dock anyway. So if you're not on the Sunshine Coast, don't just go, oh, this isn't for me, because it still is. Predominantly, I work with the construction industry, but if you have something, you've got a great team, a good team, and you know that they need to level up to go to great, and it is an industry that I have an interest in, reach out and say to me, hey B, we're in this industry, our team does this, we really want to step it up to that. Would you run the workshop for us? Run that past me, and we'll look at it, see if we both think we're a good fit to work together or not. That is it for today. Speak soon. If you live on the Sunshine Coast and you've got a team of at least 10, they're a good team, but you know that there's another couple of levels that they need to go to get to great. But you're not quite sure on how you're going to get them to that level, because a lot of your days are very chaotic, running around, putting fires out. You just can't seem to get them all heading in the same direction. Then I want to tell you about an upcoming workshop that I've got called Unbox, because it might just be exactly what you've been looking for. Hey, this has been the also known